welcome to the Data and API show. It is great to have you all here today. If you are watching on Twitch, I apologize for the delayed start there. Saw in the corner of my eye that was not working. So if you're watching on YouTube, the title says one thing. If you're watching on Twitch, the title says another. All in all, both of those sources will be the same content, the same one bald man in front of you talking about Replit, which is one of these sort of hosted IDE cloud provider-ish kind of services that are becoming very popular for bootstrapping projects quickly, for launching projects online in a serverless way. We're going to have a look at it today, explore it a little bit, and kind of see what we can do. I used Replit a long time ago. like when I logged in today, I was like, wait a minute, is this the same tool? Because it was very, very different. So we're going to just basically have essentially a beginner's perspective. If you're used to or familiar with the Hazura product, you're going to know that it does benefit from these serverless handlers for things like events or actions or other pieces of content. That's the kind of stuff that we're going to be using Replit to work with for integration. It's really an exploration today. So I'm going to need a couple of things today. One is I'm going to really need the audience to really give some feedback here, because I'm on my own today. I don't have a guest. So if you will give me the pleasure and the help of throwing out some suggestions when we get to those spots, we're going to kind of have some fun just building a little bit of absurdity today. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and share a screen, because you're not just here to watch me talk. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And we're going to start off with a view of Twitter. So why are we looking at Twitter here? Well, this actually landed, I guess, today. Which I was not aware of, and a friend sent this over to me. That's quite fascinating. So this is I think the CEO of Replit, if I understand correctly, yeah, CEO. So turned down a $1 billion cap term sheet today. Like, that's a B. So a 1 billion cap term sheet doesn't feel like a unicorn yet, and folks joining us today will share the glory of getting there. I think that's an admirable stance to take. So that'll give you a little bit of an insight into the company ethos or personality, if you will. But that's just, the fun part. So let's go ahead and navigate our way into the actual website. We're going to just follow all the links here and head on into the Replit platform. So let's have a look here. I am just going to kind of explore this as we go. And we're going to build out a couple of services and utilities and see what we see. All right. So code, create, and learn together. Use our free collaborative in-browser IDE to code in 50 plus languages without spending a second on setup. That's a good promise. Slick looking IDE. Looks like they got some real-time collaborative editing kind of things going on there. Features for all skill levels, in-browser IDE. I think that's actually a really cool trend we see a lot picking up lately. I know Next.js has been doing that. I know StackBlitz for another service doing stuff like that. Visual Studio Code just launched web-only mode. So, I mean, this is some pretty cool stuff. Like, I mean, we're talking about iPad editing these days, which is pretty slick. Real-time collaboration. Cool. GitHub integration, it's a must. 50 plus languages, where you saw that. Host and deploy. So, I mean, that's quite cool. Like, you can really deploy quickly with these things. Learning resources, APIs, and plugins. Create apps programmatically, spin up bots, and customize the IDE with plugins to fit your needs. This is all pretty cool sounding stuff. Code right in your browser, kind of cool. You can actually do a little test right here. So embeddable browsers. This has got some potential for demo space, like actually being able to show how things work. Like, check that out. That's cool. Running code right there in embeddable browser. That's nice. Code together, multiplayer. So that's got some really cool stuff in terms of the educational side, even just productivity, but educational side too, which is kind of the space I'm in. Talk, learn, collab. Yeah, good. Bring everything on board. Host anything. Anything? Well, we're not going to test. I'm not going to kick all those tires today, but we might find some edge cases. I am known as Mr. Edge Case. All right, so we've got some interesting stuff here. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. So again, I'm telling you, this is like I'm here new basically. So we're going to sign up. Let's go ahead and try with GitHub. I am hoping that does kick me off into a external auth flow here. I think I just saved it there in the nick of time. Authorize the bullet online ID. Yeah, good. I'm authorizing. You can't see it, but I'm authorizing. Please verify your email. We'll see how far they let me get without doing that. All right. Tutorials and templates now live in Learn. That's cool. Nice little Apple logo. Got it. Let me boost that zoom here. See if we can. That actually helps here a little bit to kind of see what we're seeing. Let me take my face off page here. That just puts me small. That probably helps-ish. I'm not sure if it helps to see me, but at least it's not quite so awkward, I guess. We're going to go ahead and see what we got. All right, so we got the Teams Pro little advertisement. Really nice. Nice placement. Good for you. Not going to do that today. What do we got here? So we got some recent, looks like they're already seeing some of my GitHub projects. It's kind of cool. Let's make sure there's nothing totally embarrassing here. So I actually have no idea what these two are. Oh, wow. You know what? Those might be... Those might be bootstrapped projects from when I first tried Replit 4 years ago. That's pretty funny. I wasn't expecting to see that. That's cool. And then this one, the Advent of Code. That's what that is. 2019 Advent of Code, which is coming up here soon. So keep an eye out for that Advent of Code. If you don't know, the Advent of Code is a cool thing. If you want to kind of test out your coding abilities, solving problems, helping Santa deliver presents. That's fun. Advent of Code. Let's just pull it up here real quick. This is going to be a lot of side trips today, but you'll see that it's getting launched on the 1st of December. Essentially how it works, though, is that they give you a problem, and then you've got to give it the specific text output that solving the problem correctly would provide. So they give you a sample text set. You got to run some ETL kind of stuff on it. All right, cool. So I'm nervous to look inside, see what I was doing in there. Let's see what was I doing there 4 years ago. Crunching numbers. Start of the month. Who knows what I was doing? Okay, that's really funny. That's really funny. Okay, so there we go. I've proven that I used them a long time ago. Good. All right, so we've got our basic project here. Looks like they dropped the menu. Okay, we can pull it back up. Let's go ahead and try to create a new project here. Let's have a look inside of Learn, because they said they got templates. Let's see what we've got in terms of templates here. So we have an introduction on Learn stuff, some tutorials. What do we have on templates? So basic websites, a game, to-do app. What I'm looking for is something in the space of like being able to create like an action handler, like a website. So we're going to kind of peek around here. Probably just start with create a REPL then. So we've kind of looked around, just seeing kind of what's kicking the tires here a little bit, some kind of community forum stuff. That's kind of nice. Community forum right inside of the application, actually, not throwing you off to Slack or Discord or something. That's kind of a cool thing. My REPLs, so just a couple of old ones. Yeah. Teams, nobody joining me today. Apps, what's we got in our apps here? So these are, I guess, apps that you can create things, ones people have made. I guess this is kind of a code sandbox sort of vibe, where you host things you've made. It's cool. Nice feature. Probably want to get a little careful. Ooh, generative art. Now we're talking about my sort of stuff. Ooh, and with charts. I'll have a quick look at this one. Generative art and charts, you got me. So Markov chains are the bomb. Nice. See what it looks like if we run it. This is a really great learning resource. It seems like start typing a sequence to see the Markov chain update. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. So wonder if it needs to be, okay, there need to be spaces in between. Okay, that's kind of cool. 5, and we happen to be, there we go. Yeah. Fun. That's cool. All right. You're not here to watch me play. Let's actually get something useful out of this. Let's go ahead and create a REPL. And we've got TypeScript, we've got Java, we've got HTML, Scheme, Haskell. That's going to make some people excited at Hazura. CoffeeScript. Good on you. Deno. If you want to get a good chance of trying out some Deno, that's a good spot to give it a go. Reason. Okay, they're getting some fairly bespoke applications. So there's templates here. So what I'm looking for still here, let's go ahead and just see if we type in something like web. I just want to see if we have anything that would be like already pre-templated request handler. We may just be on our own. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a Node.js here. Because that's what I do. Title, alarming tender flash memory. Why not? Anyone can view and fork this REPL. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say upgrade to make private. No. We can go public on this. Import from GitHub. No. Create REPL. Let's see what we got. All right. Trying to see how far we can get without having to hit the docs, but we'll see. Okay, so we got a basic console output here. Not sure what to do. Run some examples. Start typing to dismiss. Okay. Looking to see if there's anything that would indicate adding on like a listener or something of that nature. I'm guessing what we're going to probably have to do is just totally bootstrap our own HTTP server. So probably just a simple Express handler may do the job for us. But let's go ahead and just have a quick look here. In fact, I wonder if we were to search for Express underneath the new REPL here, or just see what we get on the side here. Oh, forget that. Okay, so we've got a basic app. We can install packages. We can set environment variables. We can do settings. And a database, that's like a key. That's a key value store, if I recall correctly. Hello, Protoculus. Thanks for joining in. All right, I'm going to guess that once we get some code running here, we might be able to get an actual endpoint. All right, let's go ahead and do this. We're going to go ahead and hit the docs. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out. We're going to go to the curriculum, I guess. We'll see if that's the right place for docs. And we'll see what they say in terms of a file handling. So we want to do like webhook. Let's hit the Google's webhook with Replit. All right, webhooks, Replit docs. How do you use webhooks? All right, how to use webhooks. Okay, so they've got a basic example here. We're just going to snag all of the code there, which will be helpful for us. And the URL, so where do they get their URL from? So by using webhooks, you're potentially exposing student data. Okay, yeah, so this is saying, okay, from this example, be careful what you're doing. What we got here is, you're all seeing how terribly I parse documentation now. That's great. By using webhooks, you're potentially exposing. Webhooks can be used. Yeah, where do we get the URL from? The URL that can receive webhooks. Well, let's just take it inside, see what we get. All right, we'll leave this open, see if it tells us any more about where we're supposed to go after this. So let's go ahead and paste in this body of code here into our file. Let's see what they've got written here as a basic thing. So they've got the express with some body parser. This potentially looks out of date, but we'll have a look. And then you've got the use body parser, fine, and URL and code. I'm guessing we're going to have to add these packages here in a minute. Actually, it may automatically import. We'll have to have a look. So basically, it's handling a post request to data, and it is receiving the webhook event. Console logging, okay, fine. So what we're going to do is remove we're going to remove this here. We're not actually submitting any files. We'll just go ahead and console log a hello status here. Let's see what happens if we hit run here. Does it give us a URL? So I believe it is installing this right now. Yep, it's installing the packages we needed. Okay. Oh, so I think this is probably our endpoint here. Okay. So if we, boy, is there a service? Chat, you can help me out here. Is there a service like a Postman type thing in the web that we can kind of test it out with? I'm kind of failing to think of what to use at the moment, because I'd like to be able to have it here in the browser so y'all could see. But this probably would also maybe return just the text as well. If I return text here, we could probably get that. So res to and send, and I think if I recall correctly with the express stuff, it'll send a JSON response here. So we just say something kind of like message hello. But and stop this probably and reboot it. I'm guessing what we need to do. And then I'm not going to have it actually be the /data. We're going to just have it be a simple GET request at the slash. So we're going to go ahead and run that. And so yeah, so there we go. So once you run this, once you create it, you get the URL here, which is how you handle the request. So that's interesting. Pretty straightforward. Kind of would have looked for maybe something that would have handled that. Now, if I recall correctly, too, I think I saw in the past that like this is not like some sort of this is fairly persistent. So if you put things up here that you shouldn't put up here, you might get yourself into some legal trouble, because I think this actually doesn't get automatically flushed. So you may need to have a bit of an approach here. But this is a really fast way to get a little bit set up. I kind of think this should be a template. Actually, would be really cool. But okay, that gets us started with a webhook handler, which is kind of cool. We're going to go ahead and have that be living there for a moment. What can I do here? Custom domain? That's cool. Let me zoom out just a little bit because I think I'm blowing up their UI. So you can add some custom domains. That's a nice touch. Open a new tab, a nice touch. Okay, so this all looks quite good. All right, let's go ahead and see now if we can map a couple of actions here. So I need now from the audience an idea for the Hazura project today. I was debating between creating a push-up tracking application or a intermittent fasting tracking application, though, because those are just things that I'm using. But I'm not, both of those action use cases are a little bit more. Nope, I have my own idea. Too late. What we're going to do is we're going to create a very, very hokey design library utility. Here's what's going to do. I'm going to be able to submit a color. And then when I submit that color, what it's going to give me is it's going to give me a, I'm going to have to try to find a library for this, but it's going to give me back complementary colors back from my API endpoint. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say reuse the paid tier here. It's fine. Create a new one. I'm going to go ahead and launch the console here. Actually, wait for a second for it to make sure it's really got everything it needs. Yeah, it's still loading. And so we're going to make a little simple data model here. We're going to go to our data layer. Boom, boom, boom. Add a quick database. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a simple data model that's taking in a color. And then it's going to... So we're going to do we're going to try two different models here. Model number one, I have a list of colors. Voila. What I can do is I can take that color, and if I were to pass in a color to an action on my API, I would get back a list of the complementary colors for that. And I want to just use hex colors for now because I'm going to try and keep this a little bit more simple. So I'm going to get back hex colors. What I'm going to do then is, if that endpoint works, I'm going to make an event trigger so that when I actually insert a color, I will get a bunch of related complementary colors sort of via subscription style. In fact, maybe we'll just kind of go with that approach. So if I insert a color inside of Hazura, it will run in the background with an event trigger hitting my API, and it will then send back to me a subscription with the analogous colors, and I can kind of get this in a subscription way. Okay, this will make sense as we go along. Let's go ahead and go to the data model here. We got the view database, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the create table, and I'm going to go ahead and say colors. We're going to use, we'll do it proper. All right, created app, updated app. Fine. And then we're going to go ahead and actually take a color value, which we're going to use as a string for right now, which is great. And I'm trying to think what I may want to do is actually create a separate table that would be like machine recommended colors, right? So I'm not necessarily wanting to pollute my massive color database. I'm not sure about that. Well, we'll start with that and see where we go. So this is like user generated colors, and then it's going to be machine recommended colors as kind of the solution we're going to go with. All right, so we're going to go ahead, and I think I need to zoom out more time to get rid of that. Okay, good. All right, so we'll save, add table, zoom back in here. Okay, so we're creating that table. We're going to make another table here that's going to be called the this table is going to be called the why not the AI color? There's no artificial intelligence actually happening here. Artificial intelligence is apparently on display, but that's about it. So we're going to go ahead and do a created app, updated app. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and get the actual color value here as well, which is going to be text. And we need to have recommended our source color ID. It's going to be a UUID because that is the ID that we're connecting it to. And we'll go ahead and say that that is what we want. Why not? Go ahead and add the table. So what I need is an event handler that will get notified when I insert a color on this table here. So what I need to do is go to events here. And we're going to create a new event trigger. And we're going to go ahead and call this get recommended colors. We'll spell recommended correct. We'll call it get rec color because I'm not wanting to type that out for the rest of the night. All right, we have the database as the default one on the schema public, and it is watching the color table. And we're going to let it do both insert and update, because I know I'm going to get myself into some issues here, and I'm going to let it do it via console as well, because that's like what I'm using tonight. So we're going to go ahead and let this just basically watch all of these. What would be interesting is to actually set up a delete behavior, cascading behavior. So if I delete the primary color, I would delete all of the dependent colors, but I want to be a little careful there. I'm already knowing that this is a very badly designed database because I'm going to end up with lots of duplicates, but that's okay. This is for educational purposes. So this is going to be where we actually run our behavior. Let's check advanced settings. I think that's just header stuff, number retries, all good, all fine. Very good, very good. Yes, very good. Okay, so we have updated that, created that color and ID. Those are the columns to watch for updates. We will simply watch updated at and just updated at, because the other three will be ones that get triggered on insertion. This works for me for now, I believe. Okay. Create event trigger. Actually, you get the webhook here. So what we're going to do is head back over here real quick. We're going to leave this open for the moment. We're going to check real fast for a library that will allow us. I'm going to go ahead and use a post now. We're going to say this is called the get rec color endpoint, hyphenated like that. And what I want to do is find a quick and quick node library. And we're going to say analogous color schemes. Audience, you got a preference for color schemes, analogous, split complementary. Complementary color hex. We'll find something with that. Complementary colors. What does it do? So it's just getting complementary colors in general. There's got to be a color pack, like a basic color package here. Color. So a lot of utilities here. It's probably a huge package. Quite popular. That's something. So we can do color.rgb. I'm sure they must take a hex value. Yeah. So what we're looking for is something that's going to give us back basically like a series of like analogous colors. You see something that would do that. Complementary. It's complementary colors. We want to go for that. Okay. So we're going to look for complementary colors. I'm going to check here for, let's go ahead and go to the GitHub page to see. It doesn't like that library is going to do complementary colors. So get complementary color hex, not jex, hex, npm. Let's just have a look at that library. It might do what we want it to do. I'm going to go to the actual repository here and see if there's some more documentation. npm always has the worst up to date on the thing. So new comp colors gives us then probably what we want. So it's 2. I think we can do it that way. I think we can just return. We're going to use, I think we'll use the Triad system, which I kind of like, because then you've got some options. Oh, this is everything we need. Okay, this is fine. We'll try this library out. Thanks again for the recommendation. It's always helpful when the audience is participating. At least somebody's watching. All right, we're going to go ahead and run this inside of the REPL. Taking a quick peek on time here. So going to have to make sure we are just keeping ourselves rolling along here. So we have this library. What's the behavior that's going to happen? We get the post request from the get rec color. Let's go ahead and do some pseudocode here and just block this out. So what happens? And we can just return the status of 200 saying that it was all okay because we don't need the event to actually return a payload to us. So we're going to say essentially, we get the request, we generate the triad colors. We're going to go ahead and split colors into objects. I'm noticing that I think they give back RGB values, which is not the most helpful. So I'll need a does it not have the ability to do RGB to hex? We'll see what we got here. Okay, what we might do for the sake of expediency, we might actually just store the RGB colors back inside of the... We're going to modify the data model. We'll take in RGB colors and we'll do it that way. Yeah, probably. Let's see, RGB to hex. I know there's a formula for this because it's basic manipulation. RGB hex. What's this little thing do? All right. Okay, that probably works for a very, and it's a Cinesaurus package, which you know it has to be bulletproof. So we're going to go ahead and just take this to the library as well. And we're going to go ahead and bring this into our replit. And we're going to go ahead and test this. All right, so we got our couple of libraries now that we need. I think I have to do a require on that though. But I'm not positive on what it's what's the supports here for replit, something to have a look at. So we have a concern. Why do you well, you should be just fine. So we're going to go ahead and do not be we'll see. If anybody in the anybody sees that there's an issue, then let me know. Oh, there was a suggestion. You can make it work by name with this library. Yeah, that's a possibility. You're talking about like RG, like red, green, blue, or corn silk, or whatever the other colors are. Is that kind of the thinking you have? I'm guessing it's probably the direction it was going. Okay. We're going to just stick with that. And we're going to go ahead and so we get to generate the triad colors, and yeah, we'll see what we get out of this. And we got these split colors into array of hex values, and then we're going to insert colors into Hazura. And we're going to make a note to ourselves with ID. So we need to snag the ID from the incoming request. And then basically all we're going to do is just going to insert them right back in. So let's go ahead and test out our logic here. I'm going to do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab the sample code. So what we do initially is we take the request, And I'm going to head back over to Hazura. I'm going to take this path, paste this into Hazura here. And we're going to go ahead and test out a couple of entries, see if we can go ahead and snag the behavior we wanted to. So we're going to go ahead and say, create the event trigger, see if that goes through, no problems. And theoretically, what we can do is we're going to be able to go back to Replit here. And we're going to paste the request. We're going to just console log the request body as it comes in. So we see exactly the shape of what we're working with. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this, run it, which is going to install the pieces we needed. Probably get an error again up here because it's no longer seeing an actual request. So we got issues. Must import to load ES. It's an ES module. Let's see if it doesn't have an issue. We may have to give up on the that library. Go ahead and run it again. See what we get. Cannot use import statement outside of a module. That's about what I was expecting. Does it give us a default? Probably not, because it's an ES module. So I'm thinking that's probably... There's probably a code gen to make the request fully typed. Now, I think we're going to have to stick with the RGB scheme that we were talking about. So we're going to do with the RGBs. So the request coming in is going to be RGB. Let's just go ahead and modify this real fast to support. Should I make it already support a JSON type? Maybe it's not a bad idea to do that here from the beginning. If I go to the database, we go to the color, modify. It may not, if it doesn't let me cast it, we're going to leave it as text. If it lets me cast it, we'll go with it. If it doesn't let me cast it, we're just going to stick with text. Nope, cannot be cast. Okay, so we're going to stick with text. Okay, that's fine. So we're going to pass in a text RGB value, and then we're going to just roll with that. Come on, there has to be a way to do the hex to RGB. You can install an older version, center converted all this npm to ESM. That's a very interesting tip there. Let me see. So we updated 6 months ago. Let me have a quick look here at the versions on npm. Do I see them? 5 versions. So very good tip from the audience there. This one's likely. Look at that. So we're going to go ahead and install this version. Now here's what I actually am not sure the syntax off the top of my head. It just, can I just do that? So we'll say const, oh, come on. Can I just do the at here inside of the text? I think I can, but I'm not. Okay, we gotta fix my stuttering here. So there was another comment. I think that works. So let's try running it. Might be a really great tip there from the audience. So what's the issue now? I don't believe it is an ES module. Well, let's see what there's an earlier version. I wonder if we can actually see from the package JSON what it's trying to bring in. And so it's doing the right thing. Maybe we need to grab an even earlier version, even though that's not an ES module there anymore. So that should work. So what we're going to do is you can only require a specific version using an unpackage.com URL. Unpackage RGB Hex. Yeah, they are. So now requiring from a URL, is it just passing it in? This is actually getting in some space that I don't do a whole ton of fidgeting around with. Is it just passing it in just kind of like that? So we'll see if it totally freaks out when I try to run it. It's okay. I'm gonna so you got a typo in there for one thing. I'm going to abandon that library. It did seem like it actually tried to install the correct thing. I'm just going to check real fast here and grab an even earlier version here, the 210. Because it may be that the library here is smart, the tool here is smart enough to grab the right version. But if it's not, I may just abandon that idea, and we'll just go ahead and test and see what we get out of it. So it's trying to install the library. Yeah. Okay, what we're going to do, I think there's actually probably even a JS function, RGB to hex. There has to be a function for that. RGB to hex and hex to RGB. So let's see here. Note the following versions of RGB to hex expect integer values for RG and B, so you'll need to do your own rounding if you have non-integer values, which is probably something that's going to bite me anyways, but we'll have a look. So we can just pass in. We're just going to copy this RGB to hex. We're just going to try this. Okay, we're going to try this the the way people used to write code. See if this works. So in theory, I just need to pass in RGB to the thing. We'll have a look. Let's have a look again at with the complementary colors library spitting back out at us. It's spitting back out at us an object, which means I could probably modify this function here just a little bit to assist with that thinking. So if I were to go ahead and spread that in like that, that should actually work. All right, we'll have a look. Copilot to the rescue. All right, so we'll have a look here. We're gonna not worry about that one library, and we're going to essentially have a look at what we get coming in. And so we're going to assume, what we want to do first is just go ahead and run this and just see what we get coming from Hazura. Once we write this, looks like our library is up and running now. Not sure what I'm console logging at the moment. Just the basic body. Okay. Request.body. Let's see here. We don't actually need the URL code. Okay, let's see what we get here. Let's go ahead and run one of these inserts. All right, and decided color. I'm going to go ahead and insert a row here, and the one color that I happen to know off the top of my head is this one. for 12-year-old reasons. All right, and we're going to go ahead and have a look to see what we got inside of our request here. So we got the server started. We got an event with the session variables coming in, and we got the data old with the new data. Okay, that's right. So what we get coming in is an event with data, and then there's the new data that comes in from that. And if we have an updated event, we would also get information on the old. So I think that's the only thing, and we get the ID. So what I want to grab here is the request.body.event. And then I want to go ahead and grab the ID. Actually, the ID comes off of this top object here. So we'll go grab that, the ID. And then we want to grab the actual data from the event here. And then we're going to grab the new data. I don't think it's going to yell at me. If I don't think new is a protected word, but we're going to find out. And then we're going to grab that from the data. Okay, so if we go ahead and console log those pieces here. Whoa, I just messed my browser window there. That's why I have this to fix in a pinch. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just log out everything we're getting from that. So we're getting the ID and the news. We want to go ahead and log. So we're going to go ahead and stop that, reboot the server, and see what we get. Yeah, it's not liking new. So we're just going to go ahead and say const new data equals data.new. Does it support optional chaining? I think so. So now we need to just tell this that that's what we have. Okay. Doesn't support optional chaining. All right. Let's go ahead and try triggering off a new event here. Need a hex color from the audience. I can wait. While you're doing that, I'm going to look for random hex colors if nobody has any ideas. E000. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I think I'm about to be pwned by using that, but all right. So we got the, what was it? GG. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 6 characters in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Should work. Okay, let's see what we get over inside of here. So we've got the ID, and we get the new data object, which is color, updated created ID. It's everything that we want. It's very good. So now what we can do is start to actually implement our logic here. And I'm actually getting a little bit close to my timeline here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and use the complementary colors utility, which was a constructor. So we're going to go ahead and just copy this over into our getting the triad color. So we need to get the color first. First, we need to actually get our, actually we already have the color, so we can do new data. We can spread off the object one more time here. So we can do const. This is like, I'm not doing error checking or anything here, so definitely don't do it this way. But so color equals new data. So now we have new comp colors. You can pass in the color there, which is the hex value. We're going to stick with consts here because just hygiene. All right, so now we get the triad color, which that method was color.triad, which returns us an array of those. So in theory, what we can do now, just clicking through all my tabs here. So now what we can do is say my color.triad. So we can say const triad equals my color.triad, and then we're going to get those into hex values. So we'll say triad.map that array, passing them through the RGB to hex function. X triads equal. I'm gonna get like somehow flagged for how many times I'm saying triad. So we got X triads, and then we're going to go ahead and actually just log that. X triads. Good. All right. So that's what we're going to attempt here. So we're going to go and stop and start. I'm going to grab one of these other things here. We're not going to do one of the recommendations, but facade is safe enough. Okay. We're going to go ahead and go with this one. What do we get? Errors. Comp colors not defined. Where did I put comp colors? New comp colors. Because they had something different than I did. Did he? Was it really that simple? Yeah. Okay. Fine. We're going to go ahead and fix that real quick. So their documentation doesn't really follow their own scheme, but that's okay. All right. Reboot. What we should be able to do is test here real fast. I think I closed it down. Oh, I didn't. Okay. So what we're going to do here real quick is I think I can just update the facade one here. And we're going to just manually tweak the updated time here. So that update event should also have fired. So we get our array of colors, which is cool. So in theory, so far, our logic here is technically working correctly. All we really need to do now is be able to insert this back into Hazura. So what we're going to do is go back into Hazura now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from the API side. Yeah, we're going to go and get a look at what our object is. So let's go ahead and have a quick look here. I'm going to go ahead and say insert rows. No, API Explorer. Here we go. So the shape of our mutation here we want to use is going to be insert AI color. And we're going to do an objects and I'm going to actually do array syntax here, because what it should allow us to do is to just pass in the color. And that's actually the only thing that it actually needs, along with the, so we're going to let it just kind of have its own whatever, and then the ID, source color ID. So those two by themselves is all I need to do to return. And we're going to go ahead and just return the affected row count. Actually, it's just like that. So this mutation is all we need to run. What we're going to do is we're going to parameterize this. We're going to go ahead and say insert mutation, insert AI colors. And we're going to go ahead and say that we need to pass in the colors object. And to get the appropriate name here, we're going to just do a quick search here in the docs. It's actually just off page here. So insert color, which is looking for this input here. So that's the type that we're going to be needing it to match up to. Now it's giving us the proper warning saying, hey, you're not passing it in. That allows us to swap out this whole piece and parameterize that input. I'm going to copy that to pasteboard just so that I have it. So this is the mutation we want to run. And we're going to do that with just a very brute force Hazura admin secret in this case. And I'm going to say that's probably exactly what we need here. So we're going to take this over to our hex triads. And we're going to do is map this one more time. I could do this in one map, but just for the sake of readability, I'm going to do it in two here. So we have the color coming here. What we're going to do is we're going to return a color, and then we're going to return the, which was the name of it was the source color ID. And that will be taking in the ID from above. So what we're doing here, we're mapping over the colors, converting them to hex values, and then we are returning, we're mapping that to a new object shape, which is the shape of this, you recall from the console. So color and then source color ID, we're just basically matching that one-to-one. So that we can paste that into our mutation here. Okay, so now we need to run a mutation from inside of, make that request here from this request here. Now, what I don't know, okay, we're gonna just do this the other way. I'm gonna do what I often do, which is I steal the fetch shape. Fetch GraphQL request example. Somebody has written it somewhere, so I can just steal it. Bingo. All right, we're just going to take this back over to our thing here. And we have a nice fetch example. We'll see if we have fetch available in this environment. We may have to install a example, but we're going to go ahead and do this. It's a learn with JSON resource. Of course, that's good. All right, so let's go to API Hazura. We're going to go ahead and grab our API endpoint. I'm going to go ahead and close that Netlify tab for now. I'm going to go ahead and paste in the example here from our thing. And then we're going to use a post type, headers. We're going to go ahead and use an authorization header here as well. I'm going to pass in my, actually, we're going to do X for admin secrets. What we're doing. I'll paste that in here in a minute. I know that you can do that with secrets here. So we'll probably do it that way, but we'll get there in a second. All right, so we need to adjust our query here. So the query we're passing in is this one. A little dose of prettier here would go a long ways. And then we're going to pass in our variables, which is color. And we used the hex triads was our payload here. Okay, so if we get a result, the JSON. So the final thing we're going to do then, I'm going to just be so ballsy as to not even worry about that. So let's see here. Should then end our behavior. I think this is going to work. Find out here in a second. Sometimes I do little brain farts. So if I'm seeing something really obvious, feel free to say something. Okay, I don't. I just don't know if this handles async handlers is the problem. So I could try it and see if it complains. I'm not sure what Express does on async body handlers. I can look it up here in a second if we get ourselves into trouble. But we're going to go ahead and try this, and I think that should work more or less. Let's go ahead and get the secret in there. So I'm going to go ahead over to the secrets. So we're going to call this the has secret, or just call it has. And I'm going to go ahead and come down here, and I'm going to just very briefly pull this off so you can't see me add that in there. But I'm going to destroy the project anyway, so it's not like a huge deal. Okay. Putting it back up in their place, and we're going to go ahead and paste it in this one, pulling that one off. All right. So let me see here. So we have the value stored here. I'm going to pop it back up here. It's interesting kind of watching how they handle this. So to use secrets in the REPL, to use secrets in Node.js, access the secret by key as an environmental variable. So we just import it like this, I guess. So cool. All right. So we're back over here. I think they said something about inserting it. Maybe they did it already. I don't see if they did it though. So we're just going to bring it up here, pass in that secret right here. Accessor admin secret on my fetch here. So in theory, that's everything I need. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back here real fast, and I'm going to fix one thing that was an oversight on my part, and that was actually connecting the relations. So on color here, I want to just make a quick relationship over to an array relationship to the, let's call it AI colors, why not? No, we're going to call them complementary colors because that's what we made. Complementary colors. And we're going to go ahead and spell it right. I think so. Comple. It's just the Python casing it doesn't like. AI color from ID, not create ID to source color ID. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and save that. In theory, we have our event-driven architecture in place, which means what I can do now is if I go in and I insert a color, let me go ahead and just insert one here by manually here, or we'll go ahead and insert one here. So we'll say mutation, and we'll say insert or mutation, insert color 1, and we're going to give it the object here, which is going to be the color. We get any other options, so we're going to grab a nice hex color, random hex color code generator. All right, and we go back over to here. We paste in the color, and we return color. Now what we're not going to see because we don't get it right away is our complementary colors, right? Because they're not going to be there. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. And it's going to be empty. Let's see if the REPL worked. There was an error. So what's the error? Fetch is not defined. Okay, I need to let's require isomorphic Isomorphic fetch, right? Let's go and try that again. Get a new color. So we go ahead and try that. So I'm actually not console logging anything anymore. But if that worked, then I should be able to see that I now have inserts inside of my AI color model, which I don't. So it didn't work. So we're going to go ahead and see what the issue was. So let's go ahead and console log the result. Appreciate y'all sticking with me still. Ooh, coffee. Ooh, is that really a hex color? Ooh, that's like a new favorite right there. Okay, first of all, I don't know why I'm sending my protected secret back in the body. That's funny. Okay, so we're going to console log the result, and might be one of those funny things, where it's like, hooray, it failed with GraphQL, which is always kind of fun. So we're going to kind of have a check there. All right. So we're going to have a check there. We're going to go ahead and come back here. We're just going to insert this manually here to test it. So we're going to insert the C0 FFEE. That's so nice. But invalid type 4. Oh, duh. Duh. Let's try that. Save it. What do we get? What do we get? What do we get? What do we get? Expecting value for non-nullable variables colors. So it doesn't like the variables getting sent for non-nullable variable colors. So what did I do wrong here? So we have colors. This is the error. It was a hooray. You made a hooray an error. Oh, GraphQL. I love you. And sometimes at the same time, sometimes. All right. I want to just insert this color again, actually. Okay. So what do we get? It should work. All right. So we're going to have a check just real quick. It looked like that was correct. So what we're going to do now, which is going to be kind of fun, and we're going to end it with this, is we're going to take two windows here. So under the API here, I'm going to do a subscription for. I'm going to actually limit this to just the most recent one. That subscription is going to go ahead and be, if I say color, it's actually getting the color value, right? And then I get the complementary colors. I want to say it's automatically newest first. Let me just check that. No, it's oldest first. So we're going to go ahead and order that by I created that, and we're going to do ascending. I always get those backwards. Nope, descending. Okay. So here, now what's interesting is I'm actually not seeing what I would have expected to see there. I would have expected already to have the colors connected. So let's have a quick check here if this works. I'm going to go ahead and open this in another tab. And in the other window here, I'm going to insert a new color. And when I insert that new color, what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to essentially see that subscription automatically update with a new color, and then it should update with the complementary colors. Now I have to see what's broken there, because that's It's a little interesting that it didn't. I may know what's happening there. I may be associating the request ID, but let me have a quick check. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a color here over on the side. So I'm going over to the colors tab. Color, loading. So close, you know, it's one of those moments where you just feel like you can really, it's just like all right there. All right, so we're gonna go AC 1D1C. It's kind of like an ACDC. I hope that's what that is and not something offensive. So we go and you save that, and then we can see that the color gets updated on the side. So I think that I've got one issue here in that the request is I think I might be getting the wrong ID. So let me just verify that here now. So I'm going to go to the data tab, and I'm going to take a look at the AI colors that we inserted now. And so the IDs that we're inserting for source color ID, for this one, for example, if we go to our color, does that match any? So I've got it off screen here, 5C8. That's nowhere in there. So I'm thinking that I actually just associated the wrong ID. So we can fix that though, because I'm guessing what's going to be here. I'm just actually going to sort of oddball snag this here. I'm going to say that it's probably on this actual object here. I'm going to say that. Let's log it as well. So if it doesn't work, we have something to reference here. So we're going to go ahead and have a look at the new data object. And I'm going to unlog over here because I just don't want to have that ridiculous extraness. Okay, I think that's what's happening. We're going to find out. So we're going back to the API Explorer. We're starting the subscription again. I'm back over into here. It's acidic. Okay. Yeah, appreciate it. All right, needing to get one last really good hex color here, hopefully for the test. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and snag it here. Okay, generate color. That's very garish. We'll see what's complementary to that. All right, we go back to the Explorer, and I've got my console open in the other window here, so I'm going to go ahead and insert that now. Let's see if it works. So we got the first piece. Hey, and it worked. Subscriptions in place. So yeah, I put the wrong ID on the other ones, but that's actually like really cool. So we're a little bit over, about 15 minutes over what the typical running time for this show is. I got to say, I'm actually pretty impressed with how flexible Replit is. Like I enjoyed working with that. I think there's some things there that be done for templating. I think there could be some cool things done, like maybe like an automatic connection with Hazura, so you could kind of use the code gen to just jump it over. If you're not familiar with the code gen, we have code gen, where if you wanted to, I think it's derive action. Like for example, if we were to, can't derive from a subscription, but you could use it actually like under actions, for example. Let's see here, manage actions. If I wanted to create an action, I can do if I were to fill out this information, I go to the next page, I could actually code gen like the handler. So that might be something that's kind of cool to create sort of an automatic sync. And I just closed down the tab that had the data. we'll leave it on the on this page here. So yeah, I think that's actually pretty cool. How well that works. It handles it very fast. It can do everything else, like actually deploying this stuff to a website. We could actually have made like a little front end client if I didn't take me an hour to work with Express.js. But yeah, I mean that's event-driven programming right there in 1 hour with Hazura and a serverless handler. I mean, what more do you want, people? No, that's really cool. That's the power of these serverless things. I think that's really exciting stuff to be able to work with. If you like seeing this kind of stuff, do let us know. If you want to see something covered in a future show, let us know. We've got a lot of really cool stuff coming up in November. We've got the Learn resources coming up. We just launched /Learn, which has a whole ton of interesting things. New up-to-date React examples, Vue examples, whatever else. And yeah, I want to also just make a call out to the tips and tricks contest we're doing right now. Make this a tip and a trick. Find something here that you thought was interesting. Make a tweet out of it. Hashtag it with Hazura tips and tricks. You can find a blog post about the Hazura tips and tricks contest. Every submission gets a T-shirt. Every submission gets a free T-shirt. And then there's also up for grabs. One of our favorites will be getting, or up to 5 of our favorites will be getting Amazon gift cards and some other cool stuff. So I would say if you like that kind of stuff, if you're into swag, if you thought something here was cool tonight, tear this thing apart tonight and give it some submissions. Otherwise, totally great having y'all there tonight. Thank you for a very active chat. That was great. Loved that. And that's going to be the end of this show. So have a very nice rest of your day wherever you are. It is nighttime for me, so I'm logging out, and we will see y'all in the next show.